this is an interesting question. Some individuals may have heard about this and some of you may not. And if you haven't, then this is an introductory question, isn't it? What is the renovated or rejuvenated earth doctrine? Now, if you've done very much study in the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventists, you would know a little bit about what they call the renovated earth theory, especially the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Jehovah's Witnesses believe that there will be 144,000 individuals who will live with God in heaven, and all the rest of the redeemed will live here on a new heaven and new earth. But that's not the doctrine we're talking about right now. Folks, this teaching about which we are talking is spreading throughout the churches of Christ. And it has to do with where will a Christian live after he has gone through the judgment and received his final reward. There are those today, gospel preachers, who are teaching that we will live on a renovated or rejuvenated earth. Now I know what some of you are thinking, or at least I hope you are. Doesn't the Bible say that this earth is going to be destroyed by fire? Let me ask you this question. Was the earth in Noah's day destroyed by water? Question. Did it go away? Oh. Now you see that thinking? Here's the earth destroyed by water, we would say. But it didn't disappear. It didn't go away. It wasn't annihilated. It was a what? It was a new earth, wasn't it? Well, folks, in like manner, these individuals believe that in the last day, the earth will be cleansed with fire rather than water. In other words, this cleansing is going to remove all the impurities, all the sins, all the things that harm and cause pain and trauma and difficulty in the lives of humanity. They also tell us that the veil that exists right now between heaven and earth is going to be removed. Heaven will descend and there will be unity between heaven and earth, and Christ and God will reign over all. All of God's faithful, all the redeemed will live in a rejuvenated, renovated, perfect earth. There'll be trees, there'll be bushes, there'll be flowers, there will be beautiful mountains, there will be cities, there will be roads, there will be jobs that you will work, there will be animals that will be here with which you and I can interact. We can go to the lake, we can go to the beach, we can go to the mountains and do all the things that we're used to doing, but we're going to be able to do that without any problems whatsoever. No sorrow, no pain, no death, no sin, no anything bad. Why? Because the earth has been totally renovated and rejuvenated. One of the proof texts that they use for this particular theory is 2 Peter 2 verse 13. Nevertheless, we, according to His promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. A new heaven and a new earth. You see, the world after the flood was a new earth, wasn't it? Thus they say the world after the cleansing by fire will be a new earth and a new heavens. If you really want to get a good understanding of this doctrine, go buy a book that is simply entitled Heaven by Randy Alcorn. That's what it looks like. I'm going to read to you just one quote from that book. Here it is. By the time you finish reading this book, you will have a biblical basis envisioning the eternal heaven. You will understand that in order to get a picture of heaven, which will one day be centered on the new earth, you don't need to look up at the clouds. Isn't that what we do right now? Where is heaven? He said, you don't need to do that. You simply need to look around you and imagine what all of this would be like without sin and suffering and death and corruption. There's the theory stated in capsule form. God comes, cleanses the earth by fire, renews it, and we all, as God's children, His faithful, will spend the rest of our lives on that beautiful, renovated earth. Wow. Now let me tell you something. When you read Randy Alcorn's book, you're going to say something like this. Wow, this sounds cool. Wow, this sounds fun. Wow, this helps me to really understand what's going to happen in the hereafter. Because isn't a lot of times our answer to the question, what is it going to be like in heaven? Something like this, I don't really know exactly. Or we say something like this, we're going to be before the throne of God, bowing our heads, casting down our crowns, and just praising God throughout all eternity. Folks, you're just going to be prostrate from then to eternity, praising God. He says, that is a wrong picture, he says, of what heaven is really like. Interesting, isn't it? And very appealing. In fact, so much so that, I'm serious, there have been many, many preachers who have embraced this particular doctrine, and they are preaching it all over the brotherhood and splitting churches in numerous places. I'm going to be talking about this doctrine more in later lessons. But folks, I believe 2 Corinthians 4, 17 and 18 is enough to refute the doctrine. Notice what Paul writes. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Now notice what Paul says. He says, while we look not at the things which are seen. What was it that Mr. Alcorn told us to do a while ago? He said, just look out the window and look around you. And just look at all this and imagine it without sin. Paul says, don't you dare look at the things which are seen. What does he tell us to look at? He says, you look at the things that are not seen. How do you do that, folks? You do that through the eye of faith. And sometimes you just may say, I don't know exactly what's there, but I know it's there by the faith that I have in the Almighty God. That one verse to me annihilates the theory. Now, here's the problem. Anytime we bring up an argument, they have a counter, don't they? And that's what you and I will have to do some further study about later on. But Paul plainly tells us, don't you dare look at this world. Don't you dare look at the things that are seen. Folks, this earth upon which we live now is a what? It is a fallen earth. It is a cursed earth, is it not? Who wants to live here? What woman wants to go in the kitchen and keep cooking? See, that's enough, isn't it? It's a false doctrine, folks. You and I need to be looking at things that are what? Not seen. And those are the things we need to be desiring.